Hi, welcome back to my channel, Biblio Obscura, where I like to read obscure, dark, and weird books, even better if they are queer or translated. So today I'm doing my 25 books I need to read in 2025, which I wasn't going to do it, but then I thought it would be a good thing to do to make sure I read some books at least from my shelves and from my library that I've been eyeing for years, but I've never had a push to just finally read them. And without further ado, we're going to get into it. There's 3 sections: my shelves, my library, and 2025 releases on my radar. So this also serves as my top 10 most anticipated releases of this year. I'm going to do monthly breakdowns of releases as we go through the year, but in this video, you can scroll down below if you want to skip there, are my top 10 most anticipated releases from all throughout the year. So anyway, let's do the ones on my shelves first, since they are sitting here. We have Compass Rose by Anna Burke. I am currently reading this, and I'm about a third of the way through, and I'm having a great time. I'm trying to make this the first book I read in 2025 because I'm loving it, so I want to start off on a high note. This is following a woman named Compass Rose. She's in her early 20s, and she is a navigator. And it's said that she was born with a compass in her blood. She's made of like seawater, and she can tell even on a submarine where north is. And she can feel the currents, and she's like the best navigator that the fleet has ever had. So the admiral sends her on a super secret spy mission with a band of mercenaries to check out where the pirate fleets are and how they are attacking the undersea mines. And I love this. I'm loving this right now. So I put this on this list, and I have been wanting to read this, and I just don't know why I have. I'm trying to read more sapphic stuff, and a lot of it's fluffy or cozy, and that's not my vibe. However, an admiral, an engineer, a mercenary, a navigator, a pirate queen, all the ladies in this book. So I'm very, very, very looking forward to this, and obviously I'm reading it right now, so it's on the first on the list. I also have The Blood of Angels by Johanna Sinisalo, who is a Finnish writer, I believe. This is about colony collapse disorder. A sudden mass disappearance of bees has spread globally, although not really to Finland yet. Amateur beekeeper Orvo is devastated by the recent death of his eco-warrior son and finds 2 of his hives deserted and begins to fear that the epidemic has finally reached Scandinavia. Then, in the attic of the old barn, he makes a mystical and frightening discovery, a pathway to a parallel world. Is it a hallucination stimulated by sorrow and loss, or is it something very real and connected with the bee's disappearance? So, Johanna Sinisalo, I have read a few others, I believe. One was The Core of the Sun, which is like Handmaid's Tale set in Finland with hot chili peppers that are psychedelics and people stick up places. It was a wild, wild ride. Another one is Troll, a love story, which I rated extremely highly, also super weird, about a photographer that finds a baby troll. So this author writes weird stuff, and I love that. So I really want to read this. I also have Last Will by Bryn Greenwood. So Bryn Greenwood has written one of the only books I've ever given 5 stars, which is The Reckless Oath We Made. I have the author copy up there. It's signed and everything. And this is her one of her first books, and I've never heard anyone talk about it. So it is about Bernie, who fails at everything he touches. He's a victim of a kidnapping for ransom as a child, and he spends his adult life trying to avoid being noticed. That's impossible once he inherits his grandfather's enormous fortune. The inheritance comes complete with obligations, a mansion, and a problematic housekeeper named Mita. Beauty queen, alien abductee, gypto crew, single mother, Mita is all these things, and she may be the only person who can help him survive his new and very public life. I honestly bought this because Bryn Greenwood's writing style is one of my most perfect writing styles, and the way that she writes characters is so nuanced, and it is always heartbreaking. So yeah, this is completely an unknown, but I'm down for whatever this author writes. So yeah, that one. This is one that I just bought recently on a girls' trip day. We like to pop around to small towns in Australia and just go to op shops and like eat food. So I found this there. It's a Hermann Hesse, and look at this edition. It's absolutely stunning. Look at that. Look at that. So it's a haunting allegorical novel. The narrative travels through time and the external and internal worlds in search of the ultimate truth. Although the pilgrimage to the east is across an imaginary land, it also embraces Europe, and it takes place not only in our own century but in the Middle Ages and Renaissance as well. The narrator is accompanied by his fellow members of the League, which includes both real and fictitious characters. So, if you don't know, Hermann Hesse is arguably one of my favorite writers. I hesitate to say that because I haven't read everything he's written, but of what I've read, they are extremely, extremely high. And when I saw this in the op shop, I was like, immediately, yes, with that cover, absolutely. So, yep, this is happening this year. I also have Foe by Iain Reid. This is an author I haven't read yet, but people keep telling me I'm gonna love it, and I think I will, so I just don't know why it hasn't happened. I also recently got this from an op shop, and I'm very much looking forward to it. I know it's about a married couple who live in a remote area, and the wife is offered a chance to have her husband go away or for a replacement to come, I think. I'm hoping this has human AI elements, but no one spoiled it for me. I also have The Road by Cormac McCarthy, which I need to be in a good mood so that I can ruin it. So if we're high, we can be back to neutral. If I'm low, we'll be lower. So I know that this is like a father-son harrowing, like, dystopian book. I think I'm gonna love it. I really do, because I love dystopians. I just know it's really dark. So I've been putting it off, but this is the year. Like, I think I'm really gonna love it. And then, of course, the one that I think is gonna be a 5-star, and for some ungodly reason I just won't read it because I'm nervous, is Call Me By Your Name by Aciman. So I started reading this years ago, and I said, no, I want to read a physical, so I bought this gorgeous edition, Australian edition, and I have just been scared like a little baby, and I haven't read it. So those are all the ones from my physical shelves I want to read this year. Let's talk about the ones my library has, and these are books that are on my radar because I have been watching everyone's like wrap-up videos and their best of the year. So number one, We Used to Live Here. This is about a family who lives in a house. Another family knocks on their door and is like, hey, we used to live here. Can I show my kids the house? Because they've never seen where we used to live. And then they let them in their house and they won't leave. And I read Hawk Mountain last year, and it was my best novel of the year. And it also dealt with someone who's like, hey, can I come in your house? And you were just screaming at them like, do not let them in your house. So I'm ready for this. I also think it's on audio from the library. I requested it, and it's going to be ready mid-Jan. So I'm really hoping it's so creepy. I Who Used to Know Men is also at my library, and I will be reading. It's everywhere on BookTube right now, so it's like no surprise. But I normally would be interested in it, and I'm even more after seemingly everyone loves it. Also, The Eyes Are the Best Part, of course. Like, I probably should have read it last year. I just never got around to it. It's always been on hold at the library, so it's finally my turn, I think, in February or March. So there's like a huge backup. Open Throat, which is about a queer mountain lion in Los Angeles. And I think I'm getting the audiobook in January if it works that way at my library. And I'm just really intrigued. It's been recommended a bunch for a book that is weird, because usually super weird books are recommended like once or twice, but Open Throat has been recommended many times. And then we have She's Always Hungry by Eliza Clark. I am currently listening to Boy Parts, and I can't tell if I'm loving it or hating it. I think how it devolves and how messy and bloody and dark the end gets, I think will tell me if I love it or hate it. Anyway, Eliza Clark is one to watch because she's just fucking dark and weird, which is perfect. This is a collection of short stories from her. It says, a woman welcomes a parasite into her body. Absolutely. A teenage longs for perfect skin. Body horror. Great. A scientist tends to a fragile alien life flora. If it doesn't eat her, I'll be sad. A young man takes the night into his own hands. Okay. So I think just knowing Eliza Clark, the short stories sound great. We also have Someone You Can Build a Nest In. I checked this out last year and I just never got around to it, and I had to return it. This is about a monster who gets in a fight after hunters wound her, and she forms a body out of parts, and she's rescued by like a human woman, and she's like, oh yes, the perfect place to lay my eggs. But then she realizes like, oh, she might actually like the woman, so she probably shouldn't kill her. I think it sounds absolutely great. It's exactly the kind of sapphic thing I'm looking for, although if it's a monster made of parts, is it a woman? We'll have to see if it's a female woman identifying monster to make it sapphic. Another one at the library is the other most famous one from Iain Reid, which is We Spread. I didn't really look so much into it because I don't want to be spoiled so bad, but like We Spread, obviously there's like roots or fungus or like something happening or like a single mind consciousness, which after reading Leech, which again, my best books of the year, I'll leave the video link down below. I love when there's like creeping tendril body horror mixed with like hive mind. It's really, really good. And then the last one from the library that's on my list is, I already checked it out, On Earth, We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong. Everyone, I have never heard anyone ever say that this isn't a 5-star read. So I got this from the library thinking either this was going to be my first read or this would be my first read, and I was just feeling like action. So this won, but this is happening probably in January. So I'm really looking forward to this. Okay, now let's get into my last 10, which are my most anticipated of 2025. And I'm gonna kind of speed run them because I think a few of them you will have recently heard me talk about. We have Blob, A Love Story, which is about a woman who stumbles out of a bar into an alley and she finds a sentient blob, which she decides to shape into her ideal man. This is coming out January 28th. I'm very excited. Also, The Lamb, coming out January 30th, which is about a mother and daughter who welcome people into their home, and then the mother kills them and eats them. But one day when there's a snowstorm and a woman stumbles to their house, the daughter has to reconcile with if she wants things to be different. Very, very looking forward to that. But Not Too Bold by Hache Pueyo. The old keeper of the keys is dead, and the creature who ate her is the volatile lady of the capricious house, Anathema, an enormous humanoid spider with a taste for laudanum and human brides. Dahlia, the old keeper's protege, must take up her duties, locking and unlocking the little drawers in which Anathema keeps her memories. And if she could unravel the crime that led to her predecessor's death, Dahlia might just be able to survive long enough to grow into her new role. But there's a gaping hole in Dahlia's plan that she refuses to see. Anathema cannot resist a beautiful woman, and she eventually devours every single bride that crosses her path. A horror romance with a humanoid spider woman. Yes, so much yes. This comes out in February 11th, just in time for Valentine's Day. Okay, also out February 11th is Beta Vulgaris by Margie Sarsfield. This is about Elise and her boyfriend who set off from Minnesota to harvest sugar beets. All she knows is that her paycheck will cover their rent and that she is trying to escape her debt collections. However, as the graveyard shift sets in, Elise notices strange threatening text, a mysterious rash, a string of disappearances from the worker campsite, and snatches of hypnotic voices coming from the beet pile itself. Who knew beets were going to be scary? But I'm very interested. Love it. I especially love body horror that's mixed with like soil elements, whether it's like actual plants or fungus or roots or, you know what I mean, mushrooms, spores, anything like that. I love that. I love that so much. We also have one that probably is on a lot of people's list. This is The Unworthy by Agustina Bazterrica, who did Tender is the Flesh. So this is a woman cloistered in a secretive, violent religious order while outside the world has fallen into chaos. So this is totally like a cult religious novel set in a post-apocalyptic dystopia and written by an author who I've loved stuff from before. Absolutely. Okay. We also have probably, these are all my most anticipated, okay, like top 10. But like this one, Oh, I really hope it's good. I hope it's so good. This is The Divine Flesh by Drew Huff, and it's coming out March 4th. So, okay. Jennifer Plummer and The Divine Flesh have exactly 3 things in common. 1, they're trapped inside Jennifer's body. 2, they despise each other. And 3, they're in love with Daryl Plummer, Jennifer's ex-husband. So, but when Jennifer takes an experiment wonder drug to free herself from the Divine Flesh's control, it only makes things worse. Expelled from Jennifer's body, the Divine Flesh can now love everyone in existence to death, which in this case means being assimilated forever into the beast. With time running out, it's somehow up to Jennifer and Daryl to save the universe from complete and total destruction. Can a dysfunctional drug mule and an electrician from rural Idaho stop the cosmic abomination before it's too late? Jennifer thinks maybe. So, I don't know. Just the amount of body horror in this, and they just kept saying Jennifer's body over and over, which made me think of Jennifer's Body, which is a classic, and I'm very, 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 very interested in that. We also have out March 25th, Every Dark Cloud by Marisha Pichette. Again, okay, they're all going to be dystopian probably, or have body horror, because that's just how I like things, and that's how it's done around here. So, it says, living in a post-climate disaster world protected by a layer of artificial cloud, Mallory knows every shade of darkness, their world lit sparingly by bioluminescence. But when rain stumbles across their path, radioactive light bleeding from their teeth, their skin twisted and burned, Mallory's worldview implodes, and the true cost of their survival becomes all too clear. You had me at, like, okay, post-climate disaster world, artificial cloud, bioluminescence, and radioactive light bleeding from teeth. This synopsis is great. And there's fungus on the cover. I'm very excited. We also have one that just sounds wild. Out April 8th is Sky Daddy, about a woman who falls in love with airplanes. And she has this like great idea that the final way to bond with a beloved of hers is to go down in a fiery crash together. And she's gonna set her plan in motion. And doesn't that sound chaotic and just bizarre? And I love that. I love that, and I also love that they went so hard and named it Sky Daddy. I want to read it so bad. Okay, the penultimate one is Vanishing World by Sayaka Murata. So, this is the English cover, blah blah. It matches the other covers that have come out. It's bold, it has a tinge of weird. However, can we talk about the Japanese cover? Because holy shit, it's so much more awesome, and I'm gonna leave it up because it's stunning. So this is, yes, by the person who wrote Convenience Store Woman, which was eh to me, and Earthlings, which was good to me, even though it was like so dark and a lot of people didn't like it, but I thought it was really, really good. This one is about a reproductive utopia or dystopia. As a girl, Amane realizes with horror that her parents copulated in order to bring her into the world, rather than using artificial insemination, which became the norm in the mid-20th century. Amane strives to get away from what she considers an indoctrination in this strange system by her mother, but her infatuations with both anime characters and real people have a sexual force that is undeniable. As an adult in an appropriately sexless marriage, sex between married couples is now considered as taboo as incest. Amane and her husband Saku decide to go and live in a mysterious new town called Experiment City or Paradise Eden, where all children are raised communally and every person is considered a mother to all children. Men are beginning to become pregnant using artificial wombs that sit outside of their bodies like balloons, and children are nameless, called only Kodomo-chan, which is like little child. Is this the new world that will purify Amane of her strangeness once and for all? I love a reproductive dystopia. Now that I am not currently pregnant, my daughter just turned 3, I'm back into loving them. I love a reproductive dystopia. And Sayaka Murata writes weird Japanese stuff, and I am so ready for it. That comes out April 15th. And the last one I want to talk about is one that we don't have the cover for yet, which is very, very sad. This is Reef Mind by Hazel Zorn. I am going to put up the cover for their recent collection of an anthology of Coastal New Weird, which had one of their writings in it. And this is going to give you the vibe, because look at that woman. She's covered in coral. Okay, this is the off season. And the one I'm talking about, Reef Mind, it says, the Earth's coral reefs become sentient and invade the surface world, horrifically transforming anything they cross paths with. Beneath the grim, quick-paced body horror lurks a parable about delusion and how our self-images of nobility and heroism shatter in the wake of disaster. I cannot wait to read this. I am gagged. Oh my god, it's coming out in September of this year. I really want a cover so bad, and I also extremely want to read that anthology, this anthology, the off-season, because actually this came out October 29th of 2024, and I didn't hear about it, like, at all, and I am very intrigued. Yeah, I'm gonna see what I can do to get my hands on that, because that sounds absolutely awesome. So yeah, those are my 10 most anticipated, 8 from the library, 7 from my shelves, to make 25 that I must read this year in 2025. So yeah, let me know what you're really looking forward to or hoping to read this year. I will see you in another video soon. Lots of love. Toodles for now.